Ready?
I can't make it any quicker than the computer moves.
Oh, okay. There it goes. I think it's streaming live now on Facebook.
Correct. You are live.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Lori. I'm chair of the Transportation Committee. And I want to thank everyone for coming. Tonight is being live streamed to Facebook. Marnie Elias Pavia, everyone knows, our district manager. And right now we have from the CB11 side, we have Jeff Harris, we have Robert Whittaker, we have Tim Law, we have Man Wiley, we have Eileen LaRufa. And then we have from the DOT side, you guys can introduce yourselves.
Leroy Branch, I work for Commissioner Keith Bray from the Brooklyn office. I have with me my colleague, Lee Eastman.
Hello everyone, Lee Eastman, as Leroy alluded. Work with Keith as well at the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner's office. Pleasure to be here with you guys this evening. And I'll turn it over to Assistant Commissioner Kim Wiley-Schwartz.
Yes, hi, I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Education and Outreach at DOT, which means that I handle all Vision Zero initiatives and the way that we talk about it, but I also have a program in schools. We give out helmets, we run the car passenger safety unit with installing car seats. We kind of run the gamut. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. So we'll get started. Tonight, we're here to initiate a discussion on education and outreach for e-mobility users. So the last few months, everyone's heard about it, that there's been safety concerns from pedestrians and so forth with the e-bikes and other devices, that they use the sidewalks, they don't follow the traffic rules, they run red lights, and they make it dangerous for pedestrians, drivers, and everyone in general. So going forward today, we have so many different types of transportation modes for whether it's recreation or it's for commercial, for business. So we want to take this time now, an opportunity to begin some sort of outreach campaign to just try to make our streets and the sidewalks a bit safer. So that's the main purpose.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah. So many years ago, first let me say thank you, DOT, for joining us tonight and beginning this conversation. You know, Leroy, many years ago, you may recall, Bensonhurst and Bath Beach were part of senior focus areas that DOT identified, and we worked together to do some outreach. And at the time we were focused on our older population and doing some outreach and education in the absence of physical street changes to make the roadway safer. And today, you know, in the past year, we've just had such an increase in crashes on our streets with both e-mobility devices, because there are many of them, and there are some classes that probably shouldn't be on our streets without being registered, insured, and licensed, as well as e-bikes and scooters, which are permitted. So we thought we would take the opportunity to see if it was feasible to have that type of outreach within the community, both for leisure riders, right? Everyday riders that use bikes, as well as the commercial aspect. Because as we see on Crash Mapper, many of these crashes are happening along these heavily utilized commercial corridors. So I just wanted to thank you and begin that conversation.
So I wanted to say that the assistant commissioner will not be able to be with us the entire time. I would ask her to give an overview of what her division takes care of and what they can and cannot do. And then Lee and myself will stay a lot longer to answer any questions or anything as we move forward, okay? So I'll turn it over right now to the assistant commissioner, Ms. Schwartz.
Thank you, Leroy. Look, during the pandemic, as we all know, there has been a proliferation of, as you said, Marnie, they're actually mopeds or limited use motorcycles that are not permitted on the streets because they can't be registered. They don't have VIN numbers. And this has really complicated a lot of things. I think you will find that that type of craft, that type of vehicle is utilized almost far more by people who are on the job, who either became delivery cyclists during the pandemic, or who, or who had been delivery cyclists, but who had gotten the impression now that the app companies are the ones that really determine whether or not people work as delivery cyclists, that there's a faster way of getting around. So we have two things going on here. The first is that, we had these delivery cyclists during the pandemic sold these bicycles or these mopeds, not understanding that they were illegal and that they need to be licensed in order to operate a limited use motorcycle, or a moped as we affectionately call them. So there's one piece of work, working with delivery cyclists, working with the people who work with delivery cyclists, and especially doing sort of a legalization and a skills building program, especially because mopeds need to ride in the regular the regular travel lanes and are not permitted in bicycle lanes. So, this is really something that we need to work on. So we've done a lot of work on this, working with Los Deliveristas Unidos, part of the Workers' Justice Project, and there's also some other groups. And as you probably know, there are many Spanish speakers, Cantonese and Mandarin speakers, Bengali speakers who are part of this profession. So we do have a lot of materials that have been created. We have a delivery cyclist forums that we do, where we do education for delivery cyclists. And we're trying to work with the app companies, because it used to be the businesses that really were responsible for training their delivery cyclists. And now that the brick and mortar places don't have that anymore, that's much more difficult. So we have a lot of materials. We even have the distinctions. We really try to help delivery cyclists understand where they can ride, what they can ride. And that, that needs a lot of work together. So that's the first kind of piece of this. We have a commercial bicycle unit at DOT that issues its summonses to businesses who are not helping to regulate their riders. Again, the problem here is most of those riders are now riding for numerous app companies simultaneously.
Okay, great. So just so you know, Hildelyn Colon Hernandez from Los Deliveristas, she's supposed to be signing on.
Great.
Yeah. So because we wanted to engage the entire community in an outreach campaign, really to provide education.
So she is doing that already. So she has all of her unionized workers, and she is providing information to them. She's doing workshops with them. I go to many events where we have helmets and equipment that we hand out. Again, if you want to do site specific within your community board, then we can kind of put something together with her. But I'm here to definitely reassure you that she's doing a lot of this work. And she does, we made, there are videos on YouTube for delivery cyclists about how to ride electric bicycles and what is legal and what isn't legal. There's a lot of information out there. So, again, if you want to engage in more site-specific work, I'm sure that we would be happy, and my team would be happy to go to a place and use equipment giveaways in order to kind of engage and get people to come in order to discuss these things further. That I'd be happy to do that.
And what about for the other users?
Sure. So as you probably know, there are two different things. One is that, we have now legalized electric bicycles, the class 1, 2, and 3 bikes. So we are doing a lot of on-street education and outreach. We have bike light giveaways. We are actually doing 2 of them a week right now because it's Bike Month. where we engage with cyclists as they come to get lights to discuss if they have electrified mobility, to discuss, where they should be riding, how they should be stopping differently. We do like to do a lot of skills-based conversations because just knowing the law is important, but there are very specific ways where cyclists are being hurt and why they're being hurt on electric bikes. And it has a lot to do with turning and stopping. So we have things we've developed, palm cards about riding e-bikes. We have information that you guys might be interested in giving out to bike shops that are about whether you're buying or selling e-bikes and what the rules and regulations are and what the tips are there. We have a lot of good information that could be amplified by making sure that it gets to the places in your community. And like I said, we also do on-street intercepts, essentially, where we have some sort of giveaway. We get cyclists to stop, and then we can discuss these things with them. Obviously, we also have a lot of things that we put out on social media and that people share. So that's in general, that's really how we've been able to do the work. But we really need to obviously engage with as many people as possible. So having a group like yours who would be willing to work with us to make our efforts broader and stick better would be terrific for us. So that's that, because there's only so many on my team. I have about 30 people, but many of them work in schools and senior centers. And, we kind of put the bike outreach in the cracks in the afternoons, early in the morning, and sometimes when we're not doing other work. So we could always use a lot of extra hands.
You got it. I'm sure we have a diverse community and members that speak many different languages to reflect the community. So I'm sure we can get people together to have an outreach event. And I guess we'll speak internally on the best location to begin that process.
Terrific. And our calendar is very full, but we can always squeeze some space in. Okay. But also, if you would like, we could do also a kind of train the trainer type thing where we could bring the materials and talk about, New Yorkers, you get about 10 seconds to communicate in any language. Mm-hmm. That's why you probably remember we had a campaign that was one word for a long time. It just said, look. And also you will notice our materials are very sparse and they're that way on purpose. We know we can only get New Yorkers to engage with us for a very short amount of time. So if you'd like, we've learned over the years kind of exactly the best little messages to get out there to start to get compliance and safety information. And like I said, there's two different things. One is if we are endeavor to protect the lives and the safety of people on mobility, then there are skills-based tips to give them. And then also to engage with them about protecting others, pedestrians in particular. Yes. So, we can be helpful with that.
Great.
Thank you. A quick question. All the material that you have, is any of it translated into other languages?
Yes, so I'm obligated to translate everything that I do into 10 languages, and I can print on demand. We have a shop, so we often will do our English materials kind of in bulk, and then we print on demand based on what you need. And if there are other languages that aren't in that 10, then we would have to work in advance. It does take almost 2 weeks sometimes to get a new translation, which is why I have so much pre-translated, but I'd be happy to do that. And there's a lot of, we can also provide, on my team, I've Cantonese, Mandarin, and Spanish speakers. I will have a Bengali speaker, but not until September. And then we always can engage with the Department of Transportation to provide translators, because we have a group of 6,000 people, and a lot of people are willing to volunteer if they know in advance where they need to be, and they're well trained. So yeah, you're welcome. And so then the other thing I'd love to send your way through Leroy is I have a chart that really outlines the current vehicular traffic laws and what is legal and illegal. It can be controversial when you hand it out because a lot of people think we're just making up this new rule. But really, as you know, we just at the DOT and the NYPD, we just simply are working within and enforcing the VTL as it is determined by the state. So a lot of this, I feel like, is trying to describe and explain what the law is. So I'd be happy to send you that. I'd also be happy to send you a flow chart that we made for the police department so that they could get some fluency with what is legal and illegal on the streets. I'd be happy to provide that for you because it can be very helpful. And lastly, I would like to tell you about an initiative that we are doing with the police department. So I think we're all very concerned about targeted policing and over-policing when it comes to vehicular traffic laws. So we want to be careful to not necessarily target the wrong audience when it comes to riding these illegal mopeds, especially because many people bought them thinking that they were legal. So we have an initiative that we can work with you guys on, where we are actually educating and then enforcing against businesses that are selling illegal mopeds. This is a place where we have a lot of authority, both between the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection and through the police department. And so I've developed a lot of materials. People are always engaged in advance. There's no raids here. They're encouraged to call the Department of Motor Vehicles and try to figure out if their things are legal, but they are being seized from the point of sale. And the reason for that is because people know they're selling illegal things and they are misrepresenting them to often someone who has saved, what for them is a huge amount of money to get something that they think is legal but is illegal. So we are also doing that initiative.
May I jump in and just ask a question as a point of clarity?
Sure.
So for example, we have bike shops that sell e-bikes or pedal assist, which are legal in the city of New York, state of New York. And then mixed in are what appear to be these Class C limited use. Now, if I'm just formulating, if they are powered by electricity, do they require to be registered and insured? Are they legal? Or is it just the gas-powered mopeds?
Thank you for the question. Any Class A, B, or C limited use motorcycle is required to be registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles and have a license plate, and it needs to be operated by someone who has a driver's license. Whether or not you have the M title on your driver's license, which is the motorcycle license, that varies depending on how fast the class of the moped goes. But it does not matter the power. That's not the issue. It's really, if it's doesn't have a VIN number, cannot be registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and is over 100 pounds, then that is that class. If it's under 100 pounds, meaning you can stand on it, it's a stand-up scooter. All modes of those are permissible in New York City, because obviously, and you don't have to have a driver's license to ride a scooter. And that can be powered by any kind of electricity, or I don't know, I wouldn't want to ride a gas-powered one of those, and I don't want to misspeak. But I think as long as it's under 100 pounds, it is allowable inside the VTL and does not need to be registered.
Okay, so I may be confusing, and what I am really referring to is not the stand-up scooters or the scooters. They're mopeds. They're really mopeds.
Right.
So what we have in the district, there are a few stores that are selling these vehicles. So what you're saying is it's illegal to sell these vehicles.
If they don't have a VIN number and they're not registerable, it is illegal to sell them.
Okay.
It is. And we can, your precincts, it's kind of going precinct by precinct. The Chief of Transportation's office is in charge of this initiative, but there are flyers that have been developed to distribute to the people who are selling this illegal form of transportation as a warning. There's help to get help from the Department of Motor Vehicles. There's some work with Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. So, trying to do this step by step. But, for us, because we are not going to do a citywide seizure of this vehicle right now, at least that's my understanding of citywide policy, we are choosing to focus on people who should not be making money selling something illegal.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if there's anything that we can do to facilitate that conversation with NYPD or the Chief of Transportation's office, I'd be happy again to give you all of those things. And just as a side note, I do know, we had the same problem here before pedal assist and throttle e-bikes were legalized. They were just simply prohibited. When something is prohibited, it's a very strange loophole in the VTL because police officers don't necessarily have something that they can actually write a summons on because it doesn't have a number attached to it. So there's a lot, you should just know there's a lot of conversations about this with legal professionals, law enforcement professionals at the state level and at the city level. This is something people are really rolling up their sleeves to try to think through. So it's not being ignored, I promise. It's just a tricky, we all came back out after COVID and suddenly there was this new vehicle everywhere. And it's, we're gonna have to work together to get some compliance.
Yes, thank you. And that's why we initiated the conversation to begin with an education and outreach campaign.
I really appreciate
so much enforcement, not looking at the enforcement component at this time.
Exactly. I really appreciate that. We've had a lot of success with Vision Zero, whether we are educating drivers or we're talking to cyclists about safety, or we're working with children on pedestrian safety. That really putting the emphasis on education first has been a very successful way of doing business. If you've ever had a street team in your neighborhood, that's where we go out for some time and do education. And then it is followed up by enforcement by the local precinct. So we're on the same page. And I think that that's the best way to get compliance in communities. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm with you. I used to be able to have commercial bicycle units go into businesses and hold their the business owners accountable for the behavior of their employees. That was very, very successful for a long time. But again, we're going to need some help to kind of work with the app companies to get some compliance through them. So it's frustrating for me.
I'm sure.
So I apologize. I am the chair of the Motorcycle Advisory Council, and I left a conversation about illegal mopeds, which I think we must have every month in order. But we have a few pressing items, and I do need to get back to the Motorcycle Advisory Council to talk about that. As you probably know, we are having a terrible year for motorcyclists. And, I'm working with them on training and, again, compliance issues. So I hope you'll forgive me for leaving.
It's okay.
And Leroy and Lee are here. Lee is an education expert because he used to work for me. So yay. So we miss him, but he's doing great work, and he'll be a great bridge on this conversation because he knows everything that's available to you and has been on the front lines of Vision Zero education for a long time. So he really knows what he's doing. Thanks, Lee.
Well, thank you, Kim, so much for coming.
It was my pleasure. And I look forward to working with you. And just a word to the wise, we should calendar a few things, even if it's a few months later. Just, you know, as everyone, I have a lean staff right now, and we would want to give you the, you know, the attention and the service that you deserve. So let's get right to it.
Will do. Thank you so much.
What a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Marnie, can you let me share my screen?
You can. Just hit the share screen. On the bottom, you see the green share screen.
No, I see it. I hit it, but it's not letting me do it.
One moment. You should.
There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, this is what the assistant commissioner was talking about, and this would probably answer some of the questions that have come up and what will go on the path. Now, this is on our website, and this is one of the handouts that the assistant commissioner was talking about in terms of what's legal, what's not legal, so forth and so on. But it is on our website, and I wanted to, so you guys can take a look at that.
Yeah, so I think that so according to this flow chart, right, I think that's where some of the confusion enters the equation, right? Because you're saying this A, B, and C are not legal on city streets, correct?
Right.
And yet we have so many of them zipping around the neighborhood. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have in the community, other than, you know, bicyclists and e-riders, you know, true e-bikes that are utilizing the sidewalks and whatnot. Making it dangerous for pedestrians. I mean, they don't know which way to look anymore. So, and I'm going to go back to this. None of these vehicles should be on our streets without registrations, correct?
Correct.
And yet what we're hearing is that they are not able to be registered because these vehicles do not have VIN numbers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And what the loophole is and if I'm wrongly, let me know. It's not illegal to sell or buy, but it's illegal to ride.
What?
That's what happened when
it's illegal to ride. It's not illegal.
It's illegal to ride. Right. So you can buy it, but you can't ride it. And what's happening is you have a number of these delivery guys that are buying these bikes because they think it's legal and they're using them, but they're illegal. Just like prior to us making the e-bikes legal, they were illegal, but they weren't illegal to sell and people were buying them. But right now we did make them legal, but the other ones aren't. And anything over 30 miles an hour, it is illegal.
So I think that's where the confusion comes in. I mean, why would we permit the sale if they could never be legalized within the city limits, right?
I think what it is, Marnie, is they didn't make a law to prevent it. Okay. So there's no law preventing it. So if there's no law preventing it, technically it's legal. You know what I mean? So that's what the assistant commissioner was talking about in terms of trying to get legislation changed, because they need a law that specifically prevents the sale of these. Well, that's if they're going to do that. It may be that they just make it legal for them to be on the street with, you have to, there's got to be rules.
Right.
So they just may come up with the rules and keep them on the street like they did with the e-bikes.
Jeff, I see a hand up. You have to unmute yourself.
I did. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
The mopeds that are listed, C, B, and A, are those gas or electric or both?
Well, what the assistant commissioner said was that it doesn't matter what it's powered by, whether it's gas, electric. It doesn't matter. Whether you still have to have a license. You have to have a license plate. It has to be registered. Whether it's electric, gas, or well, it has to be electric or gas.
You know, and this gets really confusing, to say the least. But I do believe once this is not pedal assist,
right?
That's the difference. Once it's not pedal assist, that's when it's fully illegal. So if you look at the e-bike, which is class 1, 2, and 3, those are electric. They have a throttle, but they're also pedal assist.
No, that's not true. No, the class 3 are not pedal assist. They're electric bikes. The 2 is a pedal assist. The electric kicks in automatically going up a hill, but the class 3 are not pedal assist on a whole. You can invoke the electric or you can invoke the pedal by shutting off the electricity. That's the difference between the 2 and the 3.
Right,
okay, but they have pedals.
You still have, but it has a pedal.
They have to have pedals, okay.
Oh yeah, it's still right. It still has a pedal.
My interpretation of it probably was wrong. I do apologize about that, but you're right, it has to have pedals.
Right, you can do either total. You can either do total electric without pedaling, or you can do pedaling without the electric, or a combination of both.
Right, but what makes them legal is the fact that they have pedals.
Okay.
Whether you use it or not is
right. All right.
It doesn't matter. It's just that they have
That's
pedals. If they don't have pedals, they're illegal.
All right. See, class 2, on the other hand, it has pedals, but as you're pedaling, and if there's a computer in there determines if you need help. If you need help, then the electricity kicks in automatically. The class 3, you determine whether you want the electricity or strict pedal back and forth, right? And normally the top speed is about 25 on both of them.
Right. Which
I've done higher on my bike. I mean, I have a straight bike. I've done 50 on the bike. So, you know, that's no here nor there. But that's not electric. It's a straight bike, pedal power.
You don't have it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, all right, that explains a lot, but you're right. There's a lot of these on the road, not only on the road, but a lot of them on the street, and that is the biggest problem on the sidewalk. I mean, like I've mentioned in our community board meetings, a lot of times with especially the commander of 6-2 in the area that I'm over here in northern Bensonhurst, there is enormous amount of people riding either e-bikes, regular bikes, scooters, what have you, on the sidewalk. And you're taking your life in your own hands with these. It's the way these guys are going up and down the streets, especially on 18th Avenue, which is a major shopping area. The streets, sidewalks are crowded, and you got these mopeds or e-scooters or whatever you want to call them up and down. That's where the enforcement has to be done. It's not a question of, like what Kim said was, teaching that. It's beyond teaching, because a lot of times I will tell them, you're not supposed to be, and I get like either spit on or I get, like I have 2 heads, and they don't care. They don't care.
Right. Marnie, I believe, because we actually were at the similar conversation at CB10 this morning, early this afternoon. The precinct was there to 6-8. Now, I know you have a different precinct. And they've gave some stats. They give out a lot of tickets, but they continue to drive on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, there's not enough resources to have an officer stationed on the sidewalk issuing violations. but they do give out a lot of violations for people not only riding these e-bikes, but even riding bicycles for adults. They give them out, but people are not dissuaded by those tickets.
So Leroy, let me just say, I'm going to add my 2 cents to that. Even though they're our sister community board, the demographics are very different from Bay Ridge, Bensonhurst. We have a community that's, I believe it's 55 or 57% foreign born and 47% self-identify as not speaking English, not mastering the English language. And so, you know, I think that if we have translated materials, the odds are that the people who are driving e-bikes or bicycles, and by the way, I get why some of them ride on the sidewalks, but that's a whole other story. I think if we gave the information and explained in their language what the rules of the road are, we would probably have better compliance with those users. That's why I said there are 2 separate, distinct issues here. We have a commercial component, and we were just joined by Hilton from Los Deliveristas and Workers' Justice Project, who has done tremendous work on that outreach component on the commercial side. And then I guess we can talk about, you know, just residents using those types of vehicles and safety and education outreach.
Right. No, without
residents. So I think that's part of it. They don't know what the law is.
Right. But what I was trying to say was that they're doing the enforcement and it's still not preventing them from being on the sidewalk. So we truly believe that education is going to be the way to really get individuals to follow the law and understand and know what they can and cannot do. That was my point.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's okay. Because Jeff was saying that we need to get more enforcement. And yes, of course, we would always love more enforcement. But what I was trying to make a similarity was they're doing a lot of enforcement and people are still riding on the sidewalk. They're still not following the rules of the road. So we really need to have this educational component, which I truly believe is probably one of the major parts of this. And I think if we continue to go that route, and as the Assistant Commissioner said, Monty, we do have the materials in the various languages. We just have to get it out there to the users.
Marnie, can I jump in?
Madam Chair?
Yeah, I was just going to say before we take any of the questions,
yes,
that maybe Ms. Hernandez would like to say something.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Sorry that I'm running a little late. Thank you, Madam Chair, for letting me speak. I think if
you muted yourself.
If we educated people don't know the difference between one vehicle and another, imagine a worker that is kind of like coming into this industry for the first time. Like you guys, I just joined in for 10 minutes and there is a discussion about what is an e-moped, what is not. Most of the time when my people get stopped by the police, not even the police can explain what the rules are. And I am telling you because I deal with it every day, right? So part of it is like getting a clearance about what is allowed and what not allowed. It took us a year to get Chief Royster and the DOT to actually agree in what we're supposed to have a license or not. And I speak directly to the Chief of the Transportation. I am in conversation with every week, right? So the other issue that we have is that workers want to register these bikes, but then they go to DMV and they say, no, they're not. You know what the issue is happening? And this is why we asked Chief Royster to go after the selling, because you're basically going after workers that they're using this tool to work with no explanation. The other issue, for example, I give you a plain example. We have a worker that went to one of those stores. They have now the motorcycles on the basement because now they're cracking down on them. And when they bought a motorcycle, you know, they said, oh, it's 50 cc. So you know what he put on the receipt? 49. So he doesn't have to technically get the personal license, because that is the loophole. And that is what we need to kind of like figure out how to fix. As I said, not even the police officers can answer the question. You guys have to be spending 15 minutes or 10 minutes talking about what it is, it's not. And we cannot expect a regular person. A lot of it is education, I agree. And we actually partnering with SUNY Empire to develop a training program. A lot of these workers, they went from being W-2 employees to be independent contractors. They don't even know like what they're getting themselves into. And the thing is that now the city is trying to catch up, because this, like for example, the workers is like, these things have been out of the open for a while. These workers, and then we have to be clear, how do we celebrate this? Because I go to the DOT commissioner, tomorrow we're gonna have a press conference about riding bike to work. They were criminalized at some point because they have to even go to the city council to allow them to use e-bikes, when e-bikes have been in the system forever. So we cannot say one day, sure, we celebrate you, we have a press conference, nice that you're using bikes and we're doing the climate, and then we're gonna say, no. Like now we don't like it. Because they're just doing a job. It's just require a lot of education and a lot also of being on one page. Because I am telling you, we've been for a year, DOT will give me one answer, NYPD will give me another answer, and DMV still give me another answer. And I'm telling you, these workers want to do the right thing. One of the things that we do in my office is get them to take the permit. They do it in my office. They come and took the virtual exam. We make DMV's appointments every day. All of them will tell you we want to do the right thing, but they need to kind of like let us do it. How many times I have a worker today, they went to DMV 5 times. And BND says no, what they're giving us says no. And I said, but I went to DOT. He took the same thing that you just posted. And DMV says, no, you don't have to register it. But he said, I took the DOT flyer that you just showed because we distribute that to workers. And DMV says, no, you don't have to register. So which one it is? That is part of the issue that we have here. And we have that across the board.
So talking about the stores, you were mentioning about the stores that sell and what they're doing. What's been your experience in terms of, you know, pinpointing those stores and cracking down on them? What's your experience on that?
Well, we talked to the chief and we said that that's supposed to be the strategy. And I'm telling you, I work in law enforcement for 10 years. I'm not talking out of being a person that I actually work in the Manhattan DA prosecuting people for 10 years, right? So I am coming. The way is that you need to go after the sellers. I am telling you how many places I have told the chief, go ask them to tell you for the basement, because now that's not what they're having. Or kind of like go after the person that put 49 on the receipt so he can tell my worker, sure, you don't need anything on to have like anything, insurance or even DMV permits. And you can take it out of the store. It's plain and out in the open. I even have stores in front of precincts. How many stores? And my workers were like, but if the precinct is right here.
So my question, because now I'm very confused. So we just spoke about before you jumped on that these class A, B, and C don't have VIN numbers and could never be legalized, correct? Am I correct, Leroy?
They do have VIN numbers.
No, if they don't have VIN numbers, they can't be registered.
So why don't they all have VIN numbers?
That's a great question. It's not required by law. That's Leroy's answer.
No.
Sir, I will disagree. The federal government are letting this in through the ports.
The question she asked is, why don't they all have VIN numbers? Because it's not required by law. That's why they all don't have
No, I will disagree, because they're entering illegal equipment into this country and that is coming through our ports.
No.
That's why.
No, understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's not happening. Yes, that is happening. They're allowing illegal vehicles into our ports. But what I'm saying to you is, in other words, some of these e-bikes and pedal assist, they don't have VIN numbers. They all don't have VIN numbers. They're not required to have VIN numbers.
But they're legal and don't need.
Right.
Well, hold on. they're legal now. But as Ms. Hernandez was saying, they weren't legal before. And they didn't have VIN numbers. They became legal because we were actually going after the wrong people, which were the delivery guys. So the legislators in their infinite wisdom decided to make those legal because they were already out there. But they didn't have VIN numbers, and they still don't have VIN numbers. And so what I'm saying to you is this is going to take legislation to make it clear what's legal, what's not legal, and stop the proliferation of them coming into our state, city, country, as well as people who are selling them. And unfortunately, at this point, it's ambiguous, as Ms. Hernandez was saying.
Okay. One of the problems that we have is
wait up. Other people have their hands up, so wait up. Just wait. I just wanted to jump in on that about legislation. It is being worked on. You might have heard that.
Yes.
So let's go by raised hands. Robert, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything, education, enforcement, and everything. But it's not just in our district; it's in the entire city. Mm-hmm. But it's sidewalks. But when they're not on sidewalks, they're creating havoc on streets. Okay, especially on the corridors, like 86th Street. You know, you said Bay Parkway or 18th Avenue. It's absolutely insane on 86th Street. You know what? I mean, you can't have double parked trucks and have and bikes and mopeds coming in here before somebody gets killed. You know what? I'm hoping that the legislation that was promised that hopefully is coming through the state will make clear. Then it's basically in DOT's hands. You know what? You know what? We can't be doing that. You know what? Make sure they understand underneath 86th Street is not a bike lane. Isn't all this stuff. Even though e-bikes or e-scooters, okay, you can do bike lanes, they're still under 86th Street. They're still causing havoc. Mopeds, e-bikes, and all that type of stuff. It's going to be some, you know what? It maybe not a smart idea to go into the commercial district along 86th Street. You can enter it off a side street. You know what? Not interacting directly with traffic before somebody gets hurt, whether it's a pedestrian or guess what creates an accident. Them themselves are going to become victims. Okay, but it's a little bit of both. I mean, we gotta find somehow a middle way for that to be an issue. You know what? I understand food people are working. I understand that, and they're doing it. But we just got to figure out a way to everybody to understand that. You know what? You got to be careful. You got to be careful because somebody's going to get killed.
Thanks, Robert. Tim Law.
Hi. I've been living in Bensonhurst almost 45 years. We have quite a restaurant, take-out restaurant in our neighborhood. So unfortunately, this delivery guy, you know, they're riding on the sidewalk. They're riding in the street. They don't only follow the traffic rule at all. You know, it's very dangerous, I think. Okay. So is it possible for me, I could set up a workshop or meeting for those restaurant owners, delivery men? I said, Marnie mentioned before, most of them, they don't speak English at all. They don't know how to obey the law. They don't know follow the law. Is it possible for me to set up a meeting or workshop for them, okay, in the future? Or also, is it possible I could get some flyer written in Chinese? I speak few Chinese dialect fluently. I could, with my volunteers, go to the restaurant, give them those flyers, explain to them the rule and regulation. Can I do that? Or who should I contact with?
We're already going to do that. We're already going to do that.
Now give me a telephone number. I'm going to set up at my center. In my center, 124
we already said we're going to do this with the CB. So
okay.
The community board has everything for all the groups. So we're going to all work together on
okay.
this.
Okay, no problem.
And she already said that she has everything printed in 10 languages. So I know it's printed in Chinese.
I need some flyers. Give me some flyers. Okay, please give me some flyers.
In Spanish, which we need also.
Okay, please give me some flyers. I go to the restaurant with my volunteer one by one. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Hernandez.
No, I just want to comment too that what you guys are experiencing, and I know it's frustrating, is that the city were not prepared, right? Like we went into a whole evolution that apps have been in our streets for a long time. We just kind of like uncovered and exploded with the pandemic. This is the guys that actually were feeding all of us where we're all at home, being comfortable. And we went from having a few, which is, I'm telling you, apps have been in, some of my workers have worked for Uber for 10 years, right? So this is something that the city didn't see for coming, that it will become that big. And now we're trying to catch up. The infrastructure is not here. We are proposing infrastructure in order to organize workers. And we talked to Marty about it, about hubs. And we talked to the city council members, and we've been talking to the city, and actually to DOT, we proposed it. We need to find infrastructure that we can organize them, that we can take them from the sidewalks into the street in an area that, for example, they have some protections and we can get them organized. It's part of organizing the workers. It's just kind of like, we just have an influx that haven't been organized, as I said, and also the rules are not there, right? So we need to be very clear about what are the rules, as I mentioned, and we just kind of like have to work it out. I agree with the gentleman that said we just have to work it out. I agree. I don't want nobody killed. I already have 14 workers that died last year, basically. And it is not because they're not turning on the right way. It's also, you have to understand, these workers are on the clock. They get the pressure. They get $2.50 for each delivery. So if you're a delivery worker yourself, in order to make $20, you need to do at least 10 deliveries just to make $20. And who of us can live in New York City with $20? The apps have a lot of responsibility here too. They're under constant pressure. That's why you see them going back and forth like a crazy person, because that's what they get, $2.50. That is what they get for a delivery. We fought and we was able to get like a minimum pay that will start next year. We fought also for some of these workers to start being able to determine how far they want to travel. Some of these workers travel 8-10 miles to make a delivery. And that is also, we have to be very conscious about that reality. And that's why you see them kind of like moving back and forth. I agree with the gentleman. I will sign myself in. You do the event, I will got all my people there. I have people that speak different language. Even we can do a bike tune-up or a moped tune-up, so we can get workers even more engaged. That's what actually, same situation that you guys have in Barclays. I have 80 deliveristas in one corner. The precinct invited us, the bid invited us, and we did an event. What do they resolve? Things have got better. Workers now understand certain things that they should be following. So if you tell me where and where, I will have all my team and all the leaders from other neighborhoods that they're helping to their fellow coworkers to understand what's going on. They will come to your neighborhood and they will support, and they will donate their time either fixing their bikes and mopeds, because that's how you get the workers to talk to each other and to trust you and to be able to understand where you guys are coming. And we're doing that across the board. And Marnie knows that I will be there whenever she needs me. We will be there without hesitation.
Thank you.
So I think that's a beginning. And I think we should set that up and move on that. I think Dr. Law is speaking on behalf of certain businesses, but I think it's broader than that, especially with the app use, you know.
But Marnie, I just want to throw in, as much as I know it's a lot with deliveries, it's not just deliveries, it's regular people. You know, I mean, that woman 2 months ago in Bensonhurst who got killed, that wasn't a delivery worker. So it is more about also just education in general to everyone, and not just to delivery workers. They shouldn't be the one and only target, so to speak, because there's other people.
1,000%. And that's why I was very clear that we had two distinct issues.
Yeah, I know, but I think she missed that. She came in late, so I don't know. I apologize. And I just wanted to make that clear that we.
So when we started out, the discussion was relating to the commercial uses, and then what we're seeing on our local streets of casual users that are utilizing most of the recent complaints that we have received relate to e-bikes that are utilizing sidewalks and crosswalks, and you know, we have 16% of our community are 65 and up. So there's a lot of fear, right? And we all have to share the same sidewalks and roadways. So there's two separate issues for outreach and education that need to be addressed within the community. And I agree, you know, the workers should be organized and educated on, if we don't know what's legal, I don't know how they do. So I would like to work with you on that. And DOT has been very gracious, even though they're backed up. They have lots of literature, correct?
Literature and individuals that could come out. And maybe what we want to do is do two separate ones, as you were saying, one for the general public and one for the businesses and the delivery guys, young ladies and guys. So I think that would be best. As the assistant commissioner said, she said maybe we could try to schedule something within 2 months and move forward with that. And I think everyone here, I think we're all on the same page. The best thing to do is try to educate as much as possible, because we have to change the way people think, the way people see and understand this whole new way of doing business, which was always there, but now we have so many different people staying home and getting deliveries that brings more and more individuals to this field. So I think that's how we should move forward. And I look forward to how you guys see that and how you would like us to assist.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leroy. Jeffrey, did you have something quick?
Yeah, one of the problems is because DMV, which is the state motor vehicle department, dictates to all the cities and stuff. They say one thing and the city does something else. This is one of the biggest problems that we've had. A good example is that years ago, before these mopeds and everything came out, they had the scooters. I don't know if you guys remember, they're still out. The scooter is gas powered. It's like a mini motorcycle, okay? As per the DMV, you do not need a motorcycle license to drive one, as long as it's under a certain amount of cc's, the engine size, okay? Now, I got stopped a couple of times because I borrowed my friend's scooter, all right? And they were gonna issue me a ticket for driving what they claim was a motorcycle without a motorcycle license. And I says, no, this is valid, all right? What happened was we went to the court and everything, it was thrown out because of that, all right? My point is, DMV says one thing, the city says something else. They gotta get hand in hand, because we're always gonna have this problem. You know, between the e-bikes, the e-scooters, and the other issue, regardless, everybody's bringing up businesses and this and that. I agree, okay, there's two sets. However, whatever you drive or whatever you ride, there is no reason that they have to ride on the sidewalk. That is my biggest concern. I don't care who it is, all right? I had people, my wife almost got hit twice and she had a hip replacement. If she gets hit again, I'm telling you, it's gonna be World War III over here. Because these people, they drive like madman, all right? You got to see the way they drive on the sidewalk over here. I mean, there's no reason, there's no cause for that. I'm an avid bike rider, all right? I never rode on the street, never. There's only one place I stand corrected that I ride. That's Bay 8 going on to the promenade, because those people are crazy the way they drive over there. That's the only reason why I'll take the sidewalk to go down the ramp, all right? But other than that, I mean, I'm 73 and I've been riding since I was 15. I never rode on the sidewalk.
Oh, I agree with you, Jeff, about the sidewalk, but this poor woman who got killed was crossing the street illegally. Well, that's, so, I mean, that's, you know.
Okay, that's a vehicle. That's a vehicle problem, which, again, we got a lot of idiots on the road.
No, it was an e-bike that hit her. An e-bike killed her.
All right, well, that's just like
I'm just saying, yes, the sidewalks are a problem, but even everything else is too, on top of it. Robert, is your hand still up from before, or I think his hand was up from before, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No, actually, I took it down, then I put it back up, because I actually wanted to say something, because the DMVDs with the VTL, they can actually make a traffic rules, a TR code, where that can be enforced with that type of stuff, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the city council can do a TR code rather than having to go to a state legislature.
It's already in the state, though. It's already in the state legislature on both the Assembly and Senate side.
Yeah, but I mean, we're in a session where we're just about to finish the session. If they don't get that, then maybe the city council should make a TR code to have it enforced, you know, so that we can at least, you know. But it's also funny that when you brought up that other thing about what's legal and not legal, you know, the Howard skateboards and the hoverboards, you know what, that's not delivery people. So they're all over the place too. Those hoverboards and those skateboards that are powered. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Yeah. So I didn't want anybody to think I was saying that it was only delivery. It's everybody. But you know what? There's got to be some type of control.
Right.
You got scooters too. The two-wheel scooters on the sidewalk.
So I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you, Leroy. Thank you, Lee.
Madam Chair, we have a member of the public that would like to be recognized.
Okay, I can't see them, so if you can.
Mr. Kalarafi, did you want to say something? You just have to unmute yourself.
Unmuted, okay. I'm really new to this, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm really flustered here, but I have to express myself, okay? Number one, the education, I think, belongs not so much to the public, it's to the police, okay? We have, what's it, close to 50,000 uniformed police in this city. They recently got a $500 million increase in their budget, okay? I live in the 62nd precinct. I have never, ever seen a police officer confront a moped driver or a scooter driver doing something illegal. A couple of times, I was lucky. I saw something illegal and I went over to police and explained it, right? They almost laughed, okay? Right? People are respond to what they have to do. They hardly respond to the written word, okay? What's on a piece of paper as to what's the rules. It's coming down with a summons that they have to pay or some type of punishment. Now, I'm not saying these people should be punished draconian, like all they have to know is that, and you know, another thing is this, it doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't take a legal mind to figure out, these policemen, that these vehicles driving on the sidewalk is illegal and it should be stopped. They're not doing that. They're not doing their job. Let me put it to summarize it that way, okay? Police, somebody said that the police are doing a lot on this. No. Recently, I looked at the statistics that the police, my 62nd police precinct puts out. There is a category for something called scooters and mopeds. How many summonses they put out? Zero. It was zero, okay? They're not taking this serious, okay? This business about, they're getting back on the public for us criticizing their excesses, okay? The excesses that they do a lot of, okay? With this broken windows sort of thing, okay? They're saying, okay, you don't want us to do to do our job, we're not going to do anything, okay? That's their attitude, okay?
Mr. Kalarafi?
Yes.
I think we got the, it's okay. I think we got the gist, your point. I know you had a specific segment, and I'll follow up with the NCO's officers in the precinct tomorrow, and I will get back to you.
I thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, was that it, Marnie, from public?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to thank Leroy and Lee from DOT for coming out tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hernandez, for being here, and I'm sure we're going to be talking and definitely doing something soon. Thank you, CB guys, members, for coming out tonight for the committee meeting. I appreciate it. I really do.
I look forward to working with you, Ms. Hernandez.
Count us in.
All right.
300%.
Excellent.
Thank you so
excellent.
much for your
Thank you. Everyone
Thank
have
you,
a
Amy.
wonderful night. Thank you
Good
all
night.
for coming.
Thank you.
Bonus.